This week on the Manga Bums podcast, we discuss the One Outs anime and probably some other stuff. And just off topic discussion, whatever we feel like. Let's get started. Alright, welcome back everybody. It was another week where we were thinking about doing Kabuki Cho Seiatsuhen from here to G, but I just could not get around to it. And I'm gonna come out and be honest, it's because I've been struggling with alcohol. I've been drinking pretty much every day and every night, like all day and all night. Which is why I'm going to rehab this Sunday. Actually, yeah, that would be tomorrow. See, I can't even think clearly right now. But yeah, I just wanted to say that right off the bat, because that's important for you guys to know that there's not going to be any episodes the next 3 weeks, because I'm going to be going through rehab, and hopefully I'll come out of it on the other side, and I'm looking forward to maybe getting back into sober home because I like that. It just didn't work out, but in any case, how you feeling, Rinchan? You
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, what's going on?
I'm happy that we're having this episode, and I just gotta say that I'm really proud of Sonic. It's the correct thing to do. It's a brave thing to do. There's nothing wrong. Like you can't there's nothing wrong with it. You can't say that it's or make fun of it in any way. He's brave. He knows his situation. He's going to rehab for 3 weeks. I love that. And once he gets back, the episodes will also get better. But it's real life, and that's just how it is. I've been struggling with other kind of problems, and that's why maybe a few of our episodes before were a little bit strange. But we decided to do the episodes anyway because any episode is better than no episode, and I hope that some people can still find fun and enjoyment just listening to us honestly talking about stuff. And this episode is going to be a lot more lighthearted. We're going to have fun, nothing depressing like in the homunculus episode.
Right. Which, by the way, still
Uh,
isn't on YouTube. I just haven't. I don't know. It's a similar reason. I mean, there were it was also the themes of it that I felt uncomfortable about. Um, and I wasn't sure if I really wanted that to be up on YouTube, but we're gonna put it up on YouTube, and then this one's gonna go up like probably a few days after. Just so
yeah, because
anyone was wondering
yeah,
might
uh,
know.
yeah, as we said off the podcast, the thing is, I think it's an interesting episode, the homunculus one, but the themes are definitely a little bit. We avoided like the worst parts, but there are some really depressing themes and depressing stuff and depressing imagery, and that's why today it's gonna be all about having fun.
Yeah, because I mean, I recommended One Outs because it's something that I, remember pretty fondly. I probably have some nostalgia bias because I watched it when I was like a teenager and I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. And it's one of the series that got me into all these psychological gambling manga. And it is a psychological gambling manga. It just happens to be about baseball also.
Yeah.
um
Yeah, and it's the first sports manga. It's not like a real sports manga about physical ability and all. Like a little bit, it is, but it's the first like sports themed kind of thing we do, and I think that's a good idea to like change it up a little bit.
yeah, and I do want it to be a kind of more fun, lighthearted episode this week, so just so I can leave off on like a kind of a positive note and have a definite like fun episode. So we're just gonna just ramble about because as one of the things that I think is gonna make it the most fun is that Rinshan didn't actually like it that much. Rinshan didn't actually like one else, and I guess part of that is because you learned baseball 5 days ago or something like that. Has it been five
Yeah,
days?
we have. Well, yeah, we have to address that. It's kind of the thing is, in America and in Japan, baseball is pretty like famous, and people are definitely going to learn the rules during their like childhoods because it's very popular and a common thing. But I'm from Europe, and for some reason, nobody here cares about baseball. It's not mentioned anywhere. You can't even pick it like a sport in school to play. And it was confusing to me. The rules really are like not very intuitive, I
Yeah,
would say.
it must have kind of been the same way as most people feel when they watch Akagi for the first time or their first Mahjong series. It must have been kind of similar for you, where you didn't really know all the rules necessarily, but you were just kind of following along and like listening to the explanations and stuff like that. I mean, it's not as complicated as Mahjong by any stretch, but um, I don't know for someone who was coming into it with practically no baseball knowledge. Uh,
Yeah, because for some reason I assumed it was just about like how can I like how can I throw the ball like
Right. Well, I mean, that's one of the
the
things because I
fastest.
gave him like a little crash course on baseball. One night. I don't remember if I was drunk or not. Maybe I was, but yeah, I just kind of gave him a like crash course on like the basic fundamentals of baseball. And I guess we did focus a lot on the pitching element because that is an important thing. Like
Yeah,
where
because
you pitch
what
the
was
ball.
what was confusing me was that um for some reason I didn't know that you could actually make like I saw some baseball before in media. Of course I did.
Yeah.
I told you, for example, Samurai Champloo, one episode, like one joke episode, and there's some baseball and stuff. Uh, but I didn't actually believe that it's possible to make like curveballs or to control the way that the ball is gonna fly. That was just my naive belief because I was looking at the baseball itself like a billiard ball, like just a you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, and
and
I
it
guess
wouldn't
it's
be
because
possible.
there's like seams on the ball that it can like get some friction in midair.
Uh, That was the video I sent you, yes, because I researched it, and it's because of that. Yes, it's creating like some airflow, and that's why it's possible, and that's why the spin is so important, and that's why the speed at which you throw it's so important. It is because of the ridges, definitely. Um, and now I understand how it works. Now it's like then I started like thinking about it. I'm like, okay, this is then very interesting. And I even told you like um uh that if you mention a pitcher, it has to be like a fucking really great skilled guy to know all of these ways to throw the ball. Uh,
Yeah,
which is
yeah, they
still a
have to
little bit
practice for a long
unbelievable to
time.
me. Yeah, which is still a little bit like crazy for me. Wait 1 second, we have a comment.
Yeah, yeah, I was just about to mention that. Yeah, we haven't mentioned that yet, but yes, One Ounce is by the same author as Liar Game, and also oh, what's that other one? The Mahjong one about the the Prodigy. I always forget the name of that one, but Liar Game, yes, and Liar Game is one of the series that like I watched like right after Death Note, that like really got me into this kind of thing, and then I watched Kaiji, and then I think One Ounce was soon after, but how many Keikok? Yeah, I mean the thing about Shinobu Kaitani's works in general, Shinobu Kaitani is the author of both Liar Game and One Outs. Um, they're less about drama and suspense and character development and all this stuff that is really rich and strong in Fukumoto mangas. Shinobu Kaitani is just about writing like really smart, intelligent, understandable twists that don't rely on any luck, that don't rely on any like outside forces. It's all about like one mind against another, and like how the two minds can like outwit each other and like just get that one leg up, and that's like the whole drive of his series. As far as like the Kei Kakutori moments, yeah, I mean, you just have
I
to
think we
like
made
you do have to
I think we
suspense
made
of
fun of that.
disbelief and just assume that like all the characters are just like super geniuses and that they're able to like think like 70 steps ahead. That's what you have to do with Tokuchi Toa as well in one outs. I feel like because I mean we'll get into it, but there's moments that like most people would have never seen coming that he just like casually like disregards as if they're nothing, like brushes them off
And
their
and
shoulder.
and people should know the last four episodes we actually watched together, and I was watching it for the first time, so you uh like uh experienced all of my like my own experience, like
It kind of
be
honestly, my vibe was that it was just you were kind of like making fun of it the entire time. You were just like, every time a character would pop on screen, you would like do a freaking like imitation of them. You would like make fun of their voice, and like the next character would pop in. Like he was even like quoting Akagi lines every time Tokuchi was on screen.
yeah, because sorry, but as you said, he's not like he's good in mind games, definitely, but there wasn't like any real stakes for me to care about any character, like no character. Like I was making fun of the like how ridiculously one dimensional the villain is, and how
Yes,
everybody's like just
which kept
obeying
cracking me up like no other.
uh
Just every
and
time
that's
the villain would come on screen, we would do this like, "Oh, yes, I must get all the money. All the money will be mine." He compared him to like a Scooby Doo villain.
yeah, and that's his whole character. Like, there's no like flashbacks. Like, there's no motivations. It's
Yeah, we
just,
never
just like
learn anything
like
about him except that he likes money and he is willing to do whatever it takes to get money. He's like
and
Mr.
for some reason,
Krabs or
yeah, and he's like,
something.
uh, and even you started laughing
Yeah.
at the fact that whenever he appears on screen, he's just like oh 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 oh, just like laughing. That's all he is. Like either just like villain laughing or like this is the way I'm gonna fuck him up right now.
Yes, calmly
Like
explaining his plot. Yeah, he has three modes. He has calmly explaining his villainous plot. That's one. Two is being shocked when his villainous plot doesn't work. And then three is laughing when he comes up with his next villainous plot. And he just cycles between those three over and over the entire series.
so you have to understand me the why I wasn't very invested because as I told you with homunculus I did see some like psychology and I was thinking about myself, some self-reflection, and that episode's going to be up on YouTube soon. We had some different opinions and some deep topics, but here it's just like honestly just like a cartoon, which is entertaining and there's some good stuff, but
Yeah, I
it's
mean
just
it's fun though, right? Like I don't deny, like it's no Akagi. It's not on the same level as Akagi at all. But I still love it. I still think it's a really fun series. I still love all the twists and turns. I think there's some really smart twists. I think there's some really smart like games that Tokuji pulls, and like the fact that he's able to read what his enemies are going to do, and even his own teammates. Like there's literally a point where he predicts exactly what his teammate Hideguchi is going to do given the set of circumstances that he has like piled up around him, and I think that that was really cool. Like he
well
doesn't
you
even
listen
tell
to
him what
me.
to do, he just knows that he's going to do exactly this. um
Yeah, well, you listened to me in the my reactions to the last few episodes, and you saw that I was also surprised. Like there definitely like some mind element to it, and stuff happens which I could never like have thought of myself. Like spoilers, throwing bet.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, we talked about that. Like that has happened in Major League Baseball before. As with every episode, we assume that you have watched the anime, and we're not going to cover the manga at all in this episode. So don't. If you've
Oh,
only
aren't you
watched
gonna
the anime, then don't worry, we're not going to talk about the manga at all. But yeah,
wait? Aren't you? Well, oh yeah, you told me you. Okay, yeah,
I don't really
because you
remember it.
read it. Yeah, yeah, you told me because I didn't read it at all. I just watched the show, the last part of it together with you. So I have no idea what happens after the anime. Uh, as you said, it's similar to because it's the same studio. It's Madhouse.
Yeah.
And you said it's similar. And yeah, exactly. As I don't know if he like if he's Ryzen or Risen 339, but exactly that game with the raining was also
That
very
probably was
mind
the
blowing
highlight
to
of the
me.
entire anime. Is that game where like he not like we're confused because like he's giving up runs over and over and like he's like I'm tired, I can't do this, I'm and he but they're forcing him to like continue playing, and I'm sure like the villain is like in the background just being like ah ha ha ha, I'm going to make 20 bazillion yen off of this. and uh and then he freaking uh, he just deliberately drags out the game long enough for it to start raining and potentially get it like called as like a rain game. But then the opposite
Yeah,
team is like, no, we have to get to the fifth inning. We have to continue this game. And so they start like deliberately sabotaging the game. Like he stops throwing the ball correctly. He starts balking all the time. And then they start swinging to get strikes. And then my favorite is when Tokuchi, like the entire time he was doing that, he was deliberately messing up the mound so that the next pitcher would have no way of controlling his ball because he wouldn't be able to step in the right spot. I think that was the coolest part of that entire scene. But yeah, that entire scene definitely was like definitely one of the highlights of the anime.
for me,
Um,
the coolest part of the rain game was that they expected him to just go for a like how do we call it, like when the game is off and everything is deleted for like it's just like game over. We're gonna delete the records, and that they thought he's gonna go for that.
I
Like,
don't even know what it's called, but yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah. So they thought he was going like, oh, he's just trying to make the game not valid in a way to delete all the scores.
Yeah, like
He's
get the
so
game
smart,
called
and
off is what I would
yeah,
say.
and I was like, yeah, yeah, that's a smart idea. Like, if you have like those conditions from the owner before the game because he changed the contract. I was like, yeah, let's. That's a good idea to just delete all of his like stats. But then it's actually no, no, we're actually gonna win. And then
Yeah,
he brings up this rule that not even the owner knows, like not even the umpire like knows that rule that if they uh, concede the game, that how it works, that it's automatically 9-0, and the like the statistics are deleted or something like that. Maybe you know more.
well, yeah, it's like the game is called at 9-0 in the team that didn't forfeit's favor. Um, which is yeah, it's really cool that he thought that far ahead. It's also kind of like you have to think that Tokuji is just like some superhuman genius who like can predict the like outcome of weather and like I don't know, it's like all these ridiculous random elements and like pull them into his favor at the same time. But I think that also something else that was really cool in that scene was the fact that like the enemy pitchers even like came to his side. The enemy pitchers even were just like, our team is treating us like crap. This guy, he's kind of like an asshole, but you know what? At this point, we should just like forfeit the game ourselves so that we don't have this on our records. I like the fact that he even got the enemy pitchers on his team was was really cool to
Would you
me.
call him? Would you call him like a little bit manipulative because he also did this like similar stuff to his own team, like trying to. I remember the first game. He was basically his plan was to get his team like more motivated and for them to play better, and that was
Right. I
his
think
plan.
everything that Tokuchi does is an act of manipulation in some sense or another. Whenever he's like pumping up his team, what he's really doing is he's saying the right things to get them motivated. He's not really like, speaking from the heart or anything. I think, we we do cover a lot of I don't want to go there again. But he is a very manipulative kind of character. He's like a lot of the other main characters that we have talked about on this show. I know you know what I'm assuming. what I'm implying here. Um,
I know, but that's the difference. That's the difference why I didn't also get so invested because I like Fukumoto stuff, and there it's basically everything that happens is because of the protagonist, because of the main character in any of his series, and it's everything is in their hands.
sure.
While here he's just like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna provoke him a little bit to play better, and then oh, he really does play better. You know, he's like letting it out of his hand, which felt a little bit. You know, you can't predict how a person will
Oh yeah,
act.
yeah, and like Rison was saying, it we even like not we, but you like even brought up like his entire team is kind of like all Osamus, right? Like
Yeah,
everybody on his team is an Osamu, and like it's exactly as Rison just said. It's kind of like when Akagi said like Osamu, you go play, and it's part of it is also like he's trying to uh use them to like I guess it's not really a comparable situation, but in any case, like he's using other people to his benefit, and I feel like in this series, what it really is he's just so good at predicting what other people are going to do if he does a certain thing. Like if he provokes somebody a certain way or he tells somebody something, he Tokushi always knows what they're going to do, no matter what, and that is a little bit uh I don't want to say unbelievable, but you would have to be like a really infathomably good super genius in order to pull that off. Um,
yeah, but at the same time, it's like, for example, Kojima, like from like the first person who
yeah, the famous
kind of made
batter
him.
who was like carrying the
Yeah,
team before Tokushi got.
yeah, and if you provoke him to play good, like how do you know that he's just not gonna like fuck up like at that exact like betting like he was betting, um, and how do you know like it's so much like out of his control, I would say. While in Akagi or Kaiji, most of things are in their control. In fact, in Kaiji, he actually is not in control and gets betrayed all the time.
Right.
So he does not have control over people. But here it's like Kojima, you're better than that. You can play better. Like what are you afraid of? And it's like, oh, he's right. And then he does it, and I'm like,
Well, I mean,
okay.
uh, yeah, okay. So I haven't watched the. There were probably points like that, but I just remember like there's usually like a something that Tokuchi has up his sleeve. Also, it's not always that he's just telling him exactly what he wants to hear. Like I'm thinking, for example, of the time when Tokushi deliberately like overly bandaged his arm, to like make sure that the pitcher would like pitch away from his arm, so it would be like an out low fastball, and
Yeah, but
like that makes sense to me because it would like be like if a pitch or sorry a batter of Kojima's caliber knew exactly where the ball was coming, it makes sense that he would be able to hit a home run every time. Um,
Okay,
so
yeah, I guess he told him like it's gonna be like corner right or something. Yeah, he did tell him like what's the pitch gonna be. But then at the same time like he's assuming that the pitcher from the enemy team is not an asshole and that he actually is avoiding to hit him in his
Well, that's
hand.
just the thing. It's not that he's an asshole. It's that it's a psychological thing because he gave this example of like, you give a professional shooter, you just tell them, "Hey, professional shooter, go hit this target." Oh, but also there's a $20 million vase sitting over to your right. And like without even realizing it, all the bullets kind of tend towards the left because psychologically he's trying to like not even really considering it. All he's thinking about is like hitting the target, but also he's subconsciously thinking about that vase over to the right, and so like his muscles are naturally going over to the left. That was the point. It wasn't that like he was like
Yeah,
the pitcher is
I
being
know.
considerate.
I liked that part. I liked that psychology in that and like comparison with shooting and having a ways. I like that. I just mean like how did he know that the pitcher wasn't someone who didn't even care about his arm? Like because the last team we saw tried to like basically injure him with balls
I
So
would say the difference is because Kojima, like to that pitcher at that point, like it wasn't a matter of like I have to strike this guy out no matter what. It was I have to do my job as a pitcher, and also I'm pitching to somebody who's very valuable to all of Japan, who's like a national hero, a national figure, legendary batter. And if I'm responsible for like permanently breaking his arm or something, like it's gonna drag my reputation through the mud.
well, then he could have just joined the Blue Mars.
Blue Mars and just were they the
Yeah,
ones with the like trick stadium?
yeah, Blue Mars is the cheating team, and we also mentioned the names of the teams are ridiculous. That's why I think it's not as serious as Liar Game. I think when he was doing like Liar Game, that he was like paying attention and trying to be as serious as he can with stuff. But when I look at the names of these teams, I mean, like,
No, it's very clearly supposed to be like part of it is psychology, but also part of it is humor. And I feel I busted out laughing like watching it like recently, like not even through like intentional comedy, but just like just the fact that everything's so goofy sometimes, and like the reactions of people are so over the top and dramatic and stuff. I feel like that's
oh yeah,
intentional. I feel like it's
it
supposed to be a little bit goofy and it's supposed to be a little bit funny because it like brings you along with it. 1 Ounce is not a series that like prides itself in being a gritty, realistic, drama filled, suspense filled like action thriller. It's gambling, it's psychology, but it's also a comedy at the same time. Uh, and it also
yeah,
just happens to star like an Akagi level like genius. Um,
and the moment I realized that was already from the beginning. Like even the picture of the volume you put up in the podcast, like a smoking sport guy,
yeah, a smoking
like
athlete who's smoking as he's pitching.
yeah, immediately at the beginning, I was like, okay, this isn't trying to make me go into another world. This is just trying to entertain me because, come on, like I'm doing sports and I'm smoking at the same time.
Yeah. And I'm sure. Well, as I don't think we've mentioned it yet, but I have read interviews where I don't even know if it was interview. It just somewhere in my mind. I remember reading somewhere that Tokuchi was definitely inspired by Akagi. And that's why, like,
Oh, okay.
and that's why there's like a one shot chapter in the Zawazawa anthology written by Shinobu Kaitani of Akagi in the place of Tokuchi Toa.
Okay.
And like Akagi has no pitching skill. I don't know if you want me to spoil it. It's like 3 pages. Like you could probably just go read it. It's pretty cute. I'm not even gonna tell you about it. I think
I I
it's
love
like
it.
I don't remember what
I
chapter it is, but
remember.
it's in the Zawazawa
I
anthology, and it's a very deliberate like tributes to the character who Tokuchi was inspired by. So,
I see. I
and I think the
remember
smoking is
that
also like
baseball.
a reference to Akagi as well.
I think so. And when you mentioned the Zava Zava anthology, I do remember the baseball one. I don't remember it exactly, but now that you told me that it was by that author, I think I'm gonna go back to it. But if we're gonna mention the Zava Zava anthology, my favorite one is where uh, he's playing against aliens and he's
That's my
like,
favorite one too. Yep, yep. I knew you were gonna say
like,
that. I was just anticipating. Um,
oh, okay.
yeah,
Because it's like Akagi suit like suit through everything, and like even these tiles which make no sense. And
yeah.
then
These
he's like,
rules that make no sense. He's like stacking tiles on top of each other, like forming like little pyramids. Like freaking they're shouting out these random nonsense words, which was so fun to translate, by the way. I love doing that chapter. That was one of probably one of my favorite chapters that I've ever done because I just got to make up all these, not make up, they were like transliterated in Japanese in the original. Like, Blupo was probably like Brupu or something like that, but I just kind of like made it sound more like spacey, you know.
yeah. Yeah, you did a good job. I was actually like laughing out loud reading that chapter.
Yeah, yeah, and that's
But
the
it
first
also,
chapter of Zawazawa Anthology that we did specifically because I thought it was the best one. Um, but yeah,
but we're gonna go back to one outs in a
yeah, we're
minute.
getting off
But
topic.
I'm just gonna say it just proves like how much other mangaka like respect Fukumoto to just have like Zawa anthology,
Right,
which
yeah,
is
an
not
entire anthology
it's
full of
not.
tributes to him.
Yeah, it's not a common thing. Like the other authors do not get that. They don't get that so much respect. But Fukumoto gets tons of respect from other authors.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would say his reputation has gone downhill recently, particularly because of like his pacing and his um the things that he's choosing to write about right now. Like I've even seen on Japanese websites, comments left by like reviewers and like even comments on his YouTube just telling him to like quit writing, and stuff like that. But you can't deny that he's a legendary mangaka, someone that a lot of mangaka all over the world I say all over the world, I mean all over Japan. A legendary mangaka that people all over Japan respect, and he's, one of the greats. And I guess it just goes to show that there's anime slash manga like one outs that's basically just like inspired by him, but also with a bit of a goofy taste.
like a tribute to him, basically.
Yeah, essentially.
Um, yeah, because honestly, even though there are some really cool like mind games and stuff like that, I think you have a little bit like a problem with your connection. I think because your microphone was
Oh, really? Could uh uh could the listeners hear me? Like, Risen, were you able to hear me if you're still watching? Did it cut out for you, or was it just for Rinshan?
yeah. Please tell us because for me he was cutting out. Okay, he says fine. Okay, good.
Fine.
Um,
Okay.
yeah. I want to say it's definitely like a tribute to Fukumoto. That's why we watched it, but it's a good twist because honestly, after talking about homunculus and all of that dark, depressing stuff, and we even covered like the Kazuya and morality episode, and
Yeah, it
we
seems
were
like
also
most of
going
our
into
episodes have been pretty dark, um, in general.
yeah, and now it's just fun. Like literally, me and Sonic watched the last four episodes together, and we were just laughing all the time.
Yeah,
Not
just
like making fun of the show.
yeah. No, we
It's
were
just
just
like
having fun because it's a fun show.
yeah, it is, and I think Madhouse, the studio which released it, is also kind of aware that it's not as serious because they also did Kaiji and Akagi, and if you watch Kaiji and Akagi, the atmosphere is definitely a lot darker and more serious.
Yeah, but there's lots of bright colors. Like in One Outs, there's you
Yeah,
can.
but
It
you
never
but you
feels dark
notice
and depressing until you like zoom in on Tokushi's face and he's all scary. But like, I mean, that's like the only time.
but you notice like when at the last few moments, like even when the manager and all of the characters are like having this like over the top reactions, like oh no," like it's just funny. You just have to realize it's not meant to be deep or taken seriously, and that's what we need right now. Actually, we need an episode about a fun kind of fun anime or manga. It's just fun, pure
Sure.
fun, and you learn something about like some cool tricks, like how you can like manipulate the game along the
Right.
way, I guess.
What else should we talk about? Oh, what did you? Yeah, tell me what you thought. Like after watching the first three episodes, I'm curious about that. Tell me what you thought. Like after you'd finished like the first three episodes, because it's a completely different series at that point. It kind of seems like it's going to be this dark, gringy, like gambling series, like of the underworld and stuff like that. There's this legendary gambler that nobody can beat, and they're wagering like millions of yen on whether he can strike somebody out or something like this. Like, what did you think at that point? I'm very curious to know. Like, if you can think back and remember, like, what your opinion was at that point of the show.
Well, for me, I at the beginning I was taking it very seriously,
Right.
especially with the old lady like and the like I don't know if you can even call it like like street baseball or like this little gamble
Yeah.
they had
Well,
where
that's where the name of the series comes from, is one outs. Several games of one out baseball. One outs.
okay.
That's where it comes from. It
So at the beginning, I was taking it very seriously. I was thinking, okay, Sonic recommended this. It's probably gonna be something like Akagi or something, just not mahjong but baseball. I was taking very seriously, but the moment it like kind of broke my immersion was when he signed the contract, and as we said, like this Scooby Doo villain. Just like went like whoa, yeah, I'm gonna accept his terms because I'm gonna get money out of him and I want my team to lose. And I'm like uh okay
yeah, I will admit that I remembered it as being a lot more I don't know how to say, like, just taking itself a lot more seriously, but I look at it now and I'm like, yeah, you know what? From the very beginning, it was kind of not even from the very beginning, but after a while, it became pretty evident that it was just about shenanigans and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah, because I already said in the last episode why it took me so much like so long to finish Homunculus is because I'm the type of person I'm like looking for details, looking for like hidden messages all the time.
yeah,
So every page I'm like looking for some hint or something like that. But here it's when that scene with with the owner, not it's not even like it's the owner of the whole team, and he's
yeah.
I guess selling out the team, but like once the owner gets introduced and the ridiculous contract gets signed, I was just like, you know what? Fuck the details. I'm just gonna have fun with this. Like
Yeah,
this
well,
doesn't
I'm
make
good. I'm
sense at
glad
all.
that you came to that point eventually. I do feel kind of like, um, I do regret not like telling you that it was going to be like not a super serious series. I feel like the way that I described it to you was kind of like this is baseball Akagi. This is going to be like Akagi but baseball, and it's gonna be great, and you're gonna love it. And I pitched it that way. Pitched. um,
I mean, there's nothing bad about it because at the end of the day, I still enjoyed it. Because yes, the first few episodes, I was looking too much into it. I was like, okay, Kojima is gonna be some very important character. He's gonna be like Nango in Akagi, basically,
right.
like this older guy who is looking after a young genius and stuff like that. But then it turns out he just bets a few times in the whole series and also has these crazy expressions and like, oh, I trust you, as you said, like everybody's basically like an osamu, like everybody's like, oh yeah, yeah, oh,
Yeah,
listen to
what he
him, blah,
said.
blah.
Let's just do what the smart guy says.
Yeah.
The smart
uh
guy with the squinty eyes.
Yeah, but then I started having fun with it, as I said,
Yeah.
like because I realized there's nothing really to look into, which is not a bad thing, like at all. It's not a bad thing if you have a show that you don't have to uh, analyze and try to find some deeper meaning
I do
that you
feel
can
like
just
there are
watch.
some good quotes though that come from it. Like my
Yeah,
favorite one is 可能性が低くってのはつまり zero じゃない. In other words, if
inspirational quote. Yeah, if
yeah,
it's
if the
possible, then it.
probability is not what no, a low probability means it's not zero. I feel like that's a
Yeah,
quote that you
yeah.
can take to the bank. You can use in your entire life. Like as long as the probability or I still mess it up even though I say it's a good quote, but uh, as lo- a low probability means it's not zero. Like as long as there's a chance of doing it, you may as well try. You know.
Yeah, and it makes this guy who was paid by the owner like change his life, like his whole life. It changes his whole life. It's like, owner, you know what? I'm not gonna take your money. This guy inspired me because if it's not zero, it's still possible. So I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
Still a little bit goofy, but
It is
also
it is a little goofy
inspirational.
that that one quote is all he needs to freaking give up on his manipulative manager. But I don't know, something about the way that Tokuchi talks to him. I don't know. In that scene, I kind of feel like Tokuchi maybe is speaking a little bit from the heart. Maybe. Because, he is genuinely like you could say that it's still manipulative, but at the very least like he's, you know, understanding his situation and he's giving him advice that's very valuable to him in that moment and using his life experience to help another person genuinely. Like he didn't have to necessarily like he I feel like Tokushi was fine just having like an 8 player infield, and just having that I think Yoshida might have been his name, like just stand on the sidelines, but for some reason, just the fact that he, had that heart to heart talk with him and just like pulled him, into the back rooms of like behind the dugout and just was like, you know what, as long as you know, a low probability means it's not zero, and just gave him that speech. I don't know. That might hint that there's a little bit of compassion in Tokuchi and not just manipulative behavior. What do you think about that?
I mean, definitely yes. Definitely, he wants. I mean, he wants the team to win, not just because of himself. Because the contract was about like his plays, like his pitches, not about the whole team.
Right.
The contract wasn't like the team has to win or something like that. But he still wants to see them win.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and I
uh,
feel like he perhaps had like a bond with Kojima after Kojima beat him at one outs. And maybe he like respected him enough that he was like, you know what, I'm gonna take your team to higher heights than they've ever been before, because I respect you for defeating me.
but
Um,
then at the same time, he could have definitely like I know the author isn't like is a little bit like spoofing on Akagi and everything, but he if he wanted to portray that, we could have seen a little bit more scenes between them, personal scenes, like uh, like some kind of building some kind of connection. Because the only scene
sure,
we have is when Kojima grabs his hand and says, "Join our team, please. You don't have to pay any money."
yeah.
That's like the only thing, and after that, it's basically Kojima being another Osamu, just being like, and just like we're listening to him. Uh,
Um, oh god, I lost my train of thought. Yeah. What I was gonna say is, Shinobu Kaitani is not really well known for his character development. Like I'm thinking back to Liar Game, and I would say he's good with backstories. He's good at creating backstories for characters and making you understand how they got to where they are. And there's some of that in One Outs as well. But as far as like building like relationships between current present characters, I'm thinking back to Liar Game, and I can only think of a handful of scenes where like Kanzaki Nao and Akiyama Shinichi actually like sit down and like have a heart to heart about like a certain phase of their life or something, and it's kind of just implied that they're very close throughout the series, and I feel like it's just that's just how he writes. He doesn't write to like give you this sense of like these characters are like bonding as they're going through their adventures. His focus is on like what's gonna happen, what crazy twists are gonna come, and like maybe we can understand these characters through backstories, but you know, I would say that it's left to the viewer to kind of like maybe fill in the gaps because you know,
yeah, I get what you mean, but at the same time, then you would say that this author, uh, I would say if that's true, that he's like not building any relationship throughout his series at all, not even in Liar's Game. Um, then you have to concede that Fukumoto is a lot better writer because when he wants, he builds real connections, like in Kurosawa.
yeah, well,
When he wants,
definitely. I mean,
and when he wants to have a genius which is believable, then he has Akagi. If he wants to have somebody who is facing the real world and being betrayed all the time, he has Kaiji. So he's like flexible. So, but
um,
for some reason, this author just as you said, like there's no like character like like Kojima can't just um like obey to this guy just because of one outs game where where he saw him pitch and he was like, oh, this guy's smart, now I'm obeying him. It's like, okay, it's fun, I guess,
Yeah,
but
I was
for
just
me.
thinking what Rison just said. Maybe he's not better, Fukumoto, but definitely different. I would say that Fukumoto's works are more fulfilling to read. I would say Fukumoto's works are more fulfilling, and like they leave you with a better impression, like after you read them. But I would say Shinobu Kaitani's works are more just kind of like bite-sized fun and just kind of like little psychological just kind of like just fun to read, like just really fun to read and like
Yeah, and
and
entertaining,
cool. You're not
definitely.
gonna like ruminate on them like for years after you've read them. Maybe like a couple quotes will stick out to you that you might take to the bank. Like one I remember from Liar Game is like doubt people, take a long look into their hearts. I don't remember the exact quote, but that one I remember that one also stood out to me, and that I've like um carried with me into adulthood. But um
Maybe because he doesn't even want to. He doesn't even want to like make some deep like philosophical stuff. He's just like, you know what? I have some cool ideas about some mind games and how in this particular game you could outsmart or abuse the rules or something like that. So I want to make it about that. I don't want to make it about like philosophy, connections with people, and stuff like Fukumoto does a lot. Maybe it's just that.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say he has ideas for series, and it is kind of like psychological masturbation in a sense, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a funny way of putting it for sure. Um, yeah, I mean it's just kind of fun to find out what happens. See what the next twist is going to be. I will. I think I already said it this episode, but I feel like it doesn't necessarily like one outs doesn't necessarily get much better after the anime ends. Like that's just my impression having not read it in a while. I did skim through a little bit and I do remember a bit about like what happens after the anime ends, but I don't know. I wouldn't it definitely doesn't get more fulfilling to use a word we've already used.
Okay.
Uh maybe the twists do have like some like they are good and they're like on par with some of the stuff in the anime perhaps. I can't say because I haven't read it in a while, but uh, from what I do remember, like I think the best stuff is in the anime. And I do remember. Well, I'm not going to say anything about the ending, but uh, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. It's just kind of like it's all about just kind of tantalizing your brain with like all these like, ooh, that was really smart. Oh, that was really cool. Wow, I wonder what happens next. And then it's over and you're like, wow, that was entertaining. I like that, and then that's it.
Yeah, and that's why I think it was a very good suggestion. It is a little bit connected to Akagi and Fukumoto stuff, but at the same time, it was like a vacation for my brain because Homunculus really like fucked my brain a lot.
Yeah.
And this was just like a vacation, like just a fun show. And guys, we watched like 4 episodes together and we were laughing all the time, and I think Madhouse did this on purpose. Like they didn't have to use like that kind of like reactions and that kind of like stuff in the
Yeah, and all these
anime, but
goofy poses.
yeah, but they did because they understood this is not that serious, and it's
Yeah.
just let's have people some fun. Not everything has to be kaiji, not everything has to be very deep, so here is some fun, and it is fun. And as I said, thank you for a vacation for my brain.
Well, yeah, I'm glad it was enjoyable for you. I feel like I should have maybe pitched you a change up instead of a fastball when I was pitching you the series.
Oh,
But
that's a good one.
yeah, but I don't know. As long as it worked out in the end, and you caught up to the pitch, and you were able to. I don't know. I'm gonna ditch this metaphor now. As long as you were able to enjoy it, that's fine. Um,
Yeah,
um,
but I have to thank you and pay some respects because I realized that I appreciate the game of baseball a lot more right now.
Yeah, me too. Like honestly, like well, baseball, I grew up in America, so like I was familiar with baseball. I played like backyard baseball, like the computer game when I was younger. And I did play like in a little bit of baseball, like little league when I was a kid, but I never really liked it that much until this anime. This anime kind of like made me want to watch it, and that's why baseball is now my favorite sport is because of this anime. And I understand how many different like ways you can uh like how much psychology there is between the batter and pitcher. Like if the batter knows what the pitcher is going to pitch, then he can usually hit it, and that's really interesting to me. Just how much psychology goes into just deciding what pitch to throw. And
Yeah, and that's why now I understand because before I watched this, I didn't understand like why they were like using signs, like why the catcher was like showing what to like. I thought that was all silly. I thought it was just like exaggerated. But after watching the show, I realized, yeah, it is actually a gamble. More than like some athletes who are just competing, like who is the fastest, who is the strongest, who is the best skilled at this. No, it's actually very psychological and it's very like a gambling thing, and that's why there are signs. And now I understand
well, yeah,
why they're
and
using signs.
you have signs in mahjong too, I guess. It's like if you want to communicate stuff.
No, but it seems to be a common thing in baseball to like predict the pitch and to predict how you should swing your bat or if you should swing it all, if it's gonna be a ball, if
Right,
it's gonna be
yeah.
a
Yeah, that's why they have
like,
different pitches, to trip up the batter. Um,
yeah, and it is like a little bit like gambling, and I gotta pay some respect to the author to pick baseball to make this Akagi spoof. I wouldn't have thought of it honestly. I would have maybe gone with poker or some like something on the table, but he went with a real sport, and it is kind. It does make sense. Yeah, okay, yeah, you can
well,
gamble
yeah, and I'm
in
glad that
baseball.
I'm a part of me was worried that you were going to just be like, what is like what is the point of baseball, like or something like that. But I'm very glad that you can understand. I didn't think you would, but I thought you would at least enjoy the series and maybe come to have a better appreciation of baseball, but it does make me feel a lot better that, you're saying that you
Yeah, because
appreciate it more now.
there's also some rules I learned which I didn't even know about that. Uh, when he's pitching, the batter can just start running to the first base, and that's also like a gamble. That's like a bet.
Oh,
Like,
well, that's only if the catcher drops the ball. We're
oh,
talking about like the batter just drops the bat and starts running to first base.
yeah.
That's only if the catcher drops the ball. That's like a dead ball, and then like the batter has the option of running to first base if he wants to. But yes, it is a gamble. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. That's like a minor thing, but yeah.
Then I have to be honest. Then I missed a lot of stuff because, as you said, like you told me the rules like 5 days ago, so I'm still not like really like experienced with baseball. But the thing like with Johnson, the fastest
Yeah.
runner, I thought that when the pitcher lifts his leg, he has the option to just like gamble it and just try to run for first base.
Oh, well, you can. So that's the thing. You can steal a base. Like if you're on first base or second or third, then you have the option of running to the next base as soon as the pitcher lifts his leg. That's different. Like, in order to run from home plate to first, you need to either hit the ball or something else has to happen, or you need to be walked or something. But that's stealing. That's when you
Oh, okay.
yeah, stealing is when you're on a base, you don't have a bat in your hand, you're just on a base, and like you have the option of trying to take the next base before the pitcher throws the ball to home plate. And then the pitcher also has the option of like throwing you out at the base. Uh, so that also is kind of like a gamble, a very risky maneuver, which makes it exciting. I would say.
Yeah, and we mentioned Johnson. That was a part of the game, which I was like,
Yeah.
um, 2.6 seconds, and then they were like, and the manga, like, I mean, the anime, I assume it's the same as the manga, but
It pretty much is,
there's a
yeah.
lot of like, it's pretty like a little bit ridiculous how deep they go into the mathematical stuff and like, oh, it's 2.6 seconds he needs to run from one base to another.
Yeah, and
Um,
I would say the
and my,
reason that they go so deep into the mathematical breakdown of it is to prove how much they know, how much they've tested this, how much faith they have in Johnson's running ability. And it's only after Tokuchi realizes, like, well, why did the world's fastest runner or no, why did the world's fastest base runner not become the world's fastest man? It's because his stamina is low, and that's
yeah,
why he was able
yeah,
to wear him down by like deliberately batting balls over to him, so he would have to run after them and like slam into the wall and stuff like that. Which was cool.
which is
I felt
yeah,
like,
it was cool. Yeah, it was cool, but maybe if I was younger, in my younger years, and I, as you, if I watched it some younger age, I would be more into it and more into the explanations. But uh, because of my old kind of like skeptical, pessimistic brain, I always assume that people are gonna fuck up. But with this mathematical stuff, it seems like everybody's playing perfectly.
oh,
Like,
I see.
oh,
It
if
it
I
kind of seems like, yeah. I mean, that is kind of a running theme, is that like everybody's kind of playing too perfectly. Like if they know what pitch is coming, then they're going to be able to hit it 100% of the time. Like that's not necessarily the case. And not even Tokuchi should be able to predict that, like, if a certain batter gets a certain pitch at a certain time, then they're going to definitely be able to hit it. Like that's just not feasible. Like at best they might hit it like 50 to 70% of the time. So that is a suspension of disbelief you have when you're watching the series, is that, like, things just kind of work out the way they're supposed to perfectly, and that the all the players are we kind of like joked around as we were watching it that all the players are kind of like superheroes that they all like have like amazing intelligence, amazing physical ability, and also amazing ability to hear over long distances in a noisy stadium.
yeah, that was the best super ability because
Yes.
he's standing like he's standing like I don't even know which metric to use. I'm gonna say like he's standing like 10 meters. I don't know how many yards that is away,
They use
and he's like
meters in the
speaking,
series anyway, so that's fine.
and he's like speaking like very calmly, like very silently, like I know what you thought.
Yes.
I can see your pitches, and he's like talking to him like so far away. It's like, what do you mean? How do you know my pitches? And he's like standing so far away, and he's like, yeah, I can see it because of your hand, the motion of your hand. And he's like, no, and I'm like, dude, the people can't talk like that from that distance. It's fucking ridiculous. They
I
can't
mean,
even
I don't
hear.
know if Suzuki and Washizu can telepathically communicate. Why can't Tokuchi and Williams just read lips that well? I don't know, or just like have superhuman hearing. It's fine to
I
me.
mean, I mean, I already had my suspension of disbelief at that point after the owner and his I'm gonna get your money. After that, I already like. But in real life, that's why I mentioned my old skeptical mind. In real life, it just like stands out. It's like in real life, you would have to shout like at each
Yeah,
other, like like you wouldn't be able to just call me talk like
yeah.
I
I
know.
have to chalk it up to rule of cool, just because it's cooler when they're talking in a cool, small, calm voice. Well, I guess like imagine the scene if they were like shouting at each other, right? It wouldn't be as cool because they would be like, I don't know. There's just something cool about like just calmly, like at the bottom of your voice, just calmly explaining what's your master plan, how you duped them all along. It would be different if they were shouting at each other. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
that
I
was
feel
another.
like it works to make it cooler, and that's all it is.
It works. It works. It makes it more entertaining. But that was also another thing. We already talked about this before the podcast, but there was one part where his plan was to like silently and calmly talk to his like teammate again, like very far away, like
Yeah.
from the actual picture, and him hearing everything, and he's like, Oh,
Oh right.
they
Wait,
were
did we talk about that before the podcast? Oh,
not
no, we're talking
not that
about yeah, we're
particular.
talking about like him creating a tell, right, with his glove. I don't know what it was called in the subs, but like the way I remember it is like creating a kuse, like a tell, which is gambling lingo. Like if somebody like I don't know if they I'll give you a real life example that I actually noticed on somebody. I was playing mahjong with this guy one time. And like every time he was in tempai, he would like rub his finger over the tile as if contemplating what to do, and then he would put it down. And that was his tell. That was him like signaling subverbally that he was in tempi without even realizing it. And that I don't know. That was a random tangent, but like that's the way I think of it. Is like he was creating a tell with like opening his glove whenever he was about to use like a sinker pitch.
Oh, but that was another like when he made him believe that he's opening the glove, and that's another thing that's like his mind manipulation of the enemy team. I meant, and I think even in the very first game, he on purpose like makes a timeout. He calls like this and says like they're obviously standing very far away, and he tells like his teammates like, look, they are using these kinds of signs, so be careful about the next pitch. I know what the next pitch is gonna be. And the pit and the batter is like, oh, then he somehow magically heard him, and he's like, oh no, he knows our signs. Oh, we gotta switch it up now.
Right.
Uh,
So
that was like
you're
the
just saying that like it was unbelievable that they could hear him at that point, but not or it was it's different. How am I gonna put this? I don't even know. I get what you're saying. I
if
just can't put it into words.
if the whole stadium was very silent, if there wasn't any wind, if they were standing in like gymnasium, if everything okay, I would believe that from that distance you would hear him telling his teammate like the next pitch is gonna be this, so do this, and the guy like who's standing like considerable amount of distance away, just like, oh, he knows everything, and I'm like, and then, that's just me looking too much into detail.
Yeah,
It's
you
still
don't have to think
entertaining.
too much about it. I
Yeah.
guess yeah, it's kind of weird that he was able to hear him then, but like, oh, but what I was thinking you meant was when literally Tokuchi goes up to his let's see, what's the situation again? He goes up to his batter, I think, the person who's like quote unquote on deck, which means he's gonna bat next. And he goes up to the guy who's on deck and like he whispers to him, just so you know, there's he has a tell. He has a kuse where he opens his glove whenever he's about to do a sinker, just to let you know. And like then he walks away, and like the catcher runs to the pitcher, and then Tokushi walks back and is like, "Actually, never mind. He closes his glove. I was lying. Good luck." And it's like, why did he hear him the first time but not the second time? That's what I thought you were gonna say.
Well, it's a similar situation to be honest, but uh, you know, as we said, when you put it in real life, like when it's in manga or in anime, you can believe it. But as you said, the stadium is fucking loud. It's loud all the
Right.
time. Like you can't just like pretend to be talking seriously to your teammate without uh having like with having the enemy, like not the enemy, the opponents like hearing you. It's just
Right.
not feasible. Like if that strategy was real, he would have had to like shout like to his like, listen, his glove always opens when he's trying. And
Yeah.
then just like, and then the opponents are like, oh, he knows about my tell. I didn't even know I have a tell. But he would have to be fucking shouting. That was
Yeah.
my whole point.
Yeah. It's true. It wouldn't be feasible in real life, but it. Uh, I don't know. It's still cool. Just the concept to me of like um I don't know, like if you were in a different situation, like I don't know, if you were playing mahjong and you like walked away, like I don't know, maybe we had like a 15-minute intermission and you like walked to a friend you knew and were like, "Hey, did you notice that whenever whenever he's thinking about poning on a dragon, he always taps his finger to his right temple or something like that, and then you make them like do that. Like that would be like cool or something. I don't know.
I like the,
Just the concept
uh,
of that, I think, would
I like the,
is like
yeah,
really entertaining.
I like the concept that he's uh, on purpose putting some habits which he doesn't actually have into his head, and he's like, "Oh, I never noticed that I'm opening my glove when I do that kind of pitch." Like, I like that concept, but as I said, my old skeptical me is like, even in real life, if he's shouted if it's a timeout, first of all, why don't you
Yeah,
talk
I mean,
in
it
the
wouldn't work.
dugout?
You know, it definitely wouldn't work. But it's cool. You gotta admit. Like, I get
But
what you're saying. I just feel like, yeah,
yeah,
it,
but in real life, if he really like wanted something like that, okay, he would go to the dugout or somewhere like and like whisper to him like, "Listen, I noticed that when he opened," but no, he goes to the field and he's like, let's say that he even in real life he shouts at him like, "Listen to me, he's opening his glove when
yeah,
he does this pitch." Then the opponent would like okay hear it, but they would be like, why is he doing it on the field? Like, is he really that stupid, or why isn't he just like whispering to
right, of
him?
course. And
Isn't
we've been over that. It's because he's not. It's not realistic. You know.
which is fine, but it's just my like detail searching mind. And when you asked me how I thought in the first few episodes, and those are the
Yeah,
things
and
which were
yeah, of
standing
course.
out.
I'm just saying, like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. So why don't we talk about um what else do we want to talk about? Have we what else have we not covered? We've covered like the tell. We've covered uh the bandage on Kojima's arm. Um, eh,
Okay, let's compare like you could say that even in Akagi, because here it's like you have to have a suspension of disbelief. What do you think that in Akagi,
yeah.
do you have to also, because the difference is I watched when I was young, I watched Akagi and I did have my suspension of disbelief. Do you think that if I watched Akagi today, with actually knowing mahjong, and being skeptical, would I also pick up like these little details like in one outs?
Mm. Um. So you're saying if you knew baseball better, like, would you still like have? I think you probably would. Yeah, I'm sure you would. um. I'm sure you would still like notice these things. Yeah, I mean, like I've noticed them as well.
I mean, is Akagi the anime as well? Like, of course, it was the anime first. Is it actually more believable if you are younger and don't get the whole rules and everything, and you just like that he's a cool character? Or do you think if I if you recommended me Akagi today and I just watched it in the last few days, and that I would be also as skeptical as I was with One Outs? That was the question.
Oh, well, I guess it's a difficult question to answer because like Akagi is very tied to the mahjong. Um, I think you would still be skeptical about Washizu and Suzuki communicating telepathically. um, as far as like the mahjong itself goes, like I think honestly maybe knowing mahjong like makes you more skeptical about some of the things like how Akagi was able to quickly switch in like the the Dora Forso like without Yagi noticing like through his con.
Yeah, even nowadays, look, we're not shitting on Akagi.
Of course not.
It's
No, it's a great series.
yeah, but even nowadays, if I think back to the scene where he makes Daisangen just because the cop appeared and nobody noticed, like how is it literally physically possible that he pick the tiles from their like discarded tiles and make a Daisang and like you know back then for me it seemed like more realistic and I was more like immersed. But
I guess it
nowadays when I
just
watch
takes too
it,
much time and there's too much noise that would be um created from you picking up tiles from the discard piles. Is what would be like difficult to believe about it.
well, because you have to believe that people are focused on one point when they're looking like at the cops and they don't notice this kid like moving his hand around the table.
Well, I
um
would argue that that in that scene it would be because it was a very like they're committing a crime at that moment. They are gambling when gambling is illegal in Japan, and they're coming through the door is police, and so of course their eyes are going to be glued to the door, and it's much more incredible that Akagi has the wherewithal to like you know execute his plan and stuff. I guess the question then would be like, why didn't any of the cops see him do it? But maybe they just didn't care, you know.
yeah, yeah, well, the actual question was, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but the actual question was, uh does the age at which I watch a manga or read a manga or watch an anime actually influences how much I like it compared
Okay,
to nowadays.
I did miss that, so thank you for saying that. Okay, yeah, well for sure. I mean, like if you watch a series when you're younger, you probably don't know as much at that point. So it would be, yeah, I would say probably the reason why I have such fond memories of One Outs is because I watched it when I was so much younger. So definitely, I would say that yeah, when you're older, like you can notice all the flaws, and I would say that's true of pretty much anything. Um, like it's easier to notice the flaws of something when you're older and you have more uh, experience and stuff. And it could also be that like the more people say something is good, the more prone you are to noticing the flaws in it at the same time. I don't know if that was apropos of anything, but that just also
Yeah,
came to my mind, and I wanted to vocalize it. Is the fact that like if somebody says like, oh, I don't know, like Naruto is the best anime ever. You should totally go watch it.
Naruto.
It's like god tier. And then you go watch it as an adult and you're like, this is stupid. Like why should I care about this? You're going to think that way
Why is
more often
everybody
than if
why
you
is
just went into
everybody
it
a
blind.
ninja? Yeah, yeah. So it was basically a very stupid question from me. Of
Not
course, you're
stupid.
gonna
No,
be
I
more.
that was I just literally I don't know. I was typing something when you said it the first time, but um yeah, no, it was a good question. And
Well, the also then the next part is like, did I become more cynical over the years and more like critical of everything? And we had fun with watching One Outs. We were laughing all the time, just how silly it is.
yeah,
Just like for 4 episodes. But then I'm asking myself, if I was 15 or 16 years old, would this inspire me to actually play baseball?
it could.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I've seen comments on YouTube of people saying like, well, one comment that stood out to me is like, One Ounce is a show that goes to show life can be fun if you're smart, if you're as smart as Toguchi is, which I think is an interesting takeaway. Like, if you treat life the way that Toguchi treats life, where you're like trying to find the best solution to things. Like, I don't think it's a good idea to be exactly like Tokuchi and freaking like try and manipulate people around you, but just the idea of like just trying to come up with the best possible solution to even the most mundane situations, I feel like that would make life fun. And so the fact that somebody got that inspiration out of it, and I assume that they might have been younger, um, perhaps I don't know, I can't tell. It's just a random comment, but uh, yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's, anything that you watch when you're younger has the potential to inspire you in some way. Um, so yeah. And as far as like inspiring you to play baseball, I mean, definitely. Yeah, I feel like, a show like this that like shows how cool baseball can be would definitely inspire like at least some younger people to want to go play baseball. I'm sure it did, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
I guess it's just like one like gears in a car. You just have to when you're young, you're in first gear and you're just taking all of this media more seriously, and it can actually inspire you. In second gear, you like start a little bit like criticizing stuff. In third gear, you are cynical already. But it's funny because there are shows and movies which actually inspire me even today.
hmm, okay.
Uh, even as a very cynical adult, they still inspire me. So I don't
Yeah.
know where I'm going with this. I'm sorry. I'm just like
No,
thinking
it's
about.
interesting where you're going. Yeah, it's kind of like the longer you go in life, the the more you kind of realize that life, like when you're a little kid, life is magical, right? Life is like, whoa, everything's, what is this? What's that? You're just exploring everything. And then the more you learn about the world, the more it kind of like gets dulled down. And it's like, well, yeah, here I am on this planet again for the freaking 10,000th day in a row, you know? And it's kind of like you kind of just get used to everything and you kind of see the flaws and everything. And you're like, whatever. And you kind of, I guess you could, in some sense, say that as you grow older, you're beginning to take life for granted. You could put it that way. Um,
Hmm.
you could say that as you're getting older, you're like seeing all the flaws in life, and you don't have that wide eyed wonder that you had as a kid anymore. Now you're kind of like just kind of you're here, you're still living, it's better than not living, so you may as well. And now, it's kind of fun to poke fun at like all the various things in the world. Um, but yeah, and then
Okay, so
perhaps like not neither of us have been there yet, but perhaps you also like as you get further along in your life, you begin to for some people, perhaps you like begin to kind of re-experience that childlike wonder and just like um want to just get everything out of life that you can. Perhaps that not for everybody, obviously. There's some people who are cranky and cynical their entire lives, but I could see like for me I feel like I would probably be the kind of old person that would just be like, well, I've done I've lived my life, I accomplished what I did, now I'm just gonna enjoy life, I'm just gonna watch nature and stuff, so I don't know, it could be like a loop like Rurston just said, yeah, it could be like a loop like that. What do you think of that? Am I making stuff up, or do you think I have a point?
no, everything makes sense. I'm just asking, like, I'm asking myself. I don't know why this fucking brain won't stop questioning everything, but I'm asking myself, was I laughing with you at this show because it's like just badly written,
Mm,
or was I actually laughing because the author wanted me to make me laugh? Like
I
he
think
wanted
it's
me to
because the
laugh.
author wanted to make you laugh. I,
Okay.
I think it's it's hard to say because we can't ask the author, right? But I really think that One Ounce is written partially as a comedy, and I really do think it's over the top and silly, like kind of on purpose, And I don't think Shinobu Kaitani, like Shinobu Kaitani, writes comedy into all of his works. Like, just the vibe I get from his works is, he's not the type to just like have like dramatic, suspenseful situations all the time. He always incorporates some kind of comedy, and maybe he intentionally wrote the villain to be like a over the top Scooby Doo villain. Could be, and maybe we got it, and that's why we were laughing. So
Yeah, I was just like a little bit afraid that I'm like disrespecting the work. Maybe it was a little bit more serious, and
no, I don't think it's
maybe
more serious than you took it for, but um, yeah, you know, it,
yeah. It was just a random thought. I'm sorry that I derailed with this kind of train of thoughts.
yeah, but I mean, at
Because
this
as I
point, we've kind of covered the entire anime anyway, so we're just kind of talking about whatever. and that's kind of
Yeah,
like what we wanted to do
because
anyway.
honestly, because honestly, all we gotta talk with this anime. Okay, we can go into detail and analyze like the mathematical stuff. We can go analyze like some like smart stuff he did, like uh sandpaper stuff.
Sandpaper. Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh, we didn't even mention that you. That reminded you of the Naked Gun, the scene in the Naked
yeah,
Gun.
yeah,
That's a
it
funny
reminded
clip.
me. Yeah, because I couldn't even like I didn't even understand what the point is with sandpaper and baseballs, but now I know that you can like make them fly a little bit different than
I don't really
usually.
even know either. It's kind of like an outdated type of thing. I don't feel like anybody really sandpapers balls anymore. Um, but
Sandpaper's
I
balls.
was aware that I was gonna just roll with it. I was just not even gonna acknowledge. Of course, you had to freaking point it out. Me saying sandpapering balls. That wouldn't be pleasant. I know. That would be a really weird thing to do, but okay. Anyway, yeah, nobody sandpapers balls anymore. Uh, so
Sorry.
yeah, I don't know, but I guess the impetus is still there. Like if you get caught with sandpaper in your pocket, then like that's evidence that you might have tampered with the ball. So like it's just a plot point, I would say, to put Tokuchi in trouble, like in danger of losing his freaking baseball career. And then like I
Okay,
think that is an especially unbelievable moment. And I remember talking with my friend in high school about like how did Tokuchi know that there was sandpaper in his pocket? How did he know? Like I don't know. He just had to freaking like felt the guy slap his butt and put the freaking sandpaper in there. Uh, I can't think of anything else. Like maybe he like checked after the butt slap and was like, "Oh, there's sandpaper in here." Besides that, I don't see how he could have known. But um,
well, it's psychological. He was expecting it, like he was, but at the same time, maybe the last like moral question or psychological question of one outs we have is what do you think about him like knowing that his teammate put the sandpaper in the other guys uh but then just knowing that if he insisted that he gets checked that he would be disqualified, but he
oh,
said like no, you kneel, and then he actually after he kneels he's like I'm gonna forgive you or something like that.
oh yeah. Well, that was. I mean, him making him kneel was kind of like unnecessary and kind of like bad sportsmanship and just kind of like I guess he kind of wanted to feel like a king or whatever. But you just said that his teammate had like sandpaper in his pocket too, like Hideguchi, the catcher.
No, he gave him the sandpaper from his butt. He took it, so he was expecting it, I guess.
And you're making fun of
And
the way
then
I say things. Okay, go ahead, continue.
he put the like the sandpaper in his ass. He took it, gave it to
Uh huh.
his teammate, and
Okay,
his teammate put the sandpaper into the batter's ass.
I see. Okay, so they were exchanging sandpaper from ass to ass. Okay,
Yeah,
and then it ended up in the catcher's ass. Is what you're saying?
yeah.
Okay, so wait,
But
where did the sandpaper go then? Like after it was in his ass, like where did he like drop it on the ground somewhere, or like because what you just said is like if like the umpire had checked everybody, they would have found the sandpaper on Hideguchi, right?
they would have found it on the catcher because that's where it ended up.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I guess. Well, yeah, I guess
But
Tokuchi
he had
must
the
have
choice.
anticipated that. He must have anticipated that the I don't know his name, the guy who was up to bat, that he must have that he was going to, call off the search. And I guess that's a reasonable assumption to make because, like, if
Well,
he didn't call off the search, then he would have evidence of cheating in his pocket, right? So,
no, he didn't have anything in his like. We even watched it like a few hours ago, dude. It's basically, he anticipated getting sandpaper into his ass, then he gave it to this guy, and he put it into the ass of the catcher. Um, so he basically knew that they were gonna plan something on him, and he transferred it to them back. Um, But that was kind of obvious. But my question actually was more like, what is his thinking when he was saying like kneel to me?
Okay.
Because if they continued like searching, they would have found the sandpaper in the catcher's ass. Uh, but he said like if you kneel to me, or do you think that it was never in? Because I think he like Tokchi was like searched already, like his ass was searched, so I think he was like clean. And then they
Hmm.
started like looking up everybody else's ass, and it was about time
You
to
gotta
check
stop.
the ass of
Yeah, how many
of
times have you said ass in the last like 20 seconds? Anyway, uh, let's
or
see.
do you want me to say, or how do you call the pocket on the back of your
Back pocket.
behind?
Back
Yeah,
pocket.
back. What a crazy term. I prefer ass.
Yeah, you prefer ass pocket. Okay, that's fine, dude.
uh,
Whatever you want to
uh,
do.
but
I
I just
honestly
meant
got
like,
so distracted with that. So we're saying that. Okay, so why did the batter kneel to Tokuchi? Or rather, why did Tokuchi make the batter kneel to him when when
it could have been over. The
it
game
could
could
have?
have been over right
Yeah,
there.
I mean, I think I already said like I think it was just like he wanted to be the king. He wanted to be like you are my like kneel to me. I am like superior than you, and like admit that I am
Oh,
far superior than
oh,
you, and just like I think there was like you can say all you want about Tokuchi, but you have to admit he's a very arrogant character. Like,
yeah. That's
sure,
like,
he's
I was just thinking like a very bad message for kids. Like, make your opponents kneel.
yeah, yeah, and I mean
Okay.
it's whatever. And I feel like and the commentators immediately after he does they literally say like he's so cold hearted, he's evil, and literally because I remember we
Yeah,
we
yeah,
pointed that out,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, and the
yeah, yeah.
commentators point out how cold blooded he is. So it's not like it's like this is how you should be. No, the commentators tell us that this is not how you're supposed to be. So I don't think it's like a bad. I think it's just going to show like uh how much of a bad guy Tokuchi is in the sense of his attitude. Um, but I'm still wondering where did the other sandpaper end up? Wait, so one sandpaper got like thrown on the floor. I remember like the batter's teammate like took the sandpaper out of his ass and threw it on the floor. And then let's see, then like Tokuchi had Hideguchi put it in his back ass pocket, and then it was there. Wait, no. So there were only two sandpapers. No, no, no. Okay, there were only two sandpapers. There was one that got discarded and thrown not on the grass, but probably the other guy took it away, and then the other one went into the batter's pocket, right? And so it
Well,
wouldn't have mattered if they
honestly,
continued the search
honestly,
or
I
not.
didn't. Honestly, I didn't pay too much attention to it because we were watching it together and we were just having fun and laughing. But the way
Yeah.
I got it, and it might be wrong, the way I got the ending of the anime is that uh, this one guy touched his ass and put sandpaper into his back pocket.
Hmm.
He knew it that's gonna happen, so he immediately picked it out and gave it to Hiraguchi, I guess, like or the guy with like a mustache a little bit, like
Yeah. I just
yeah,
yeah. His name's
yeah,
Hideguchi.
and yeah, and he gave it to him and told him like put it into the catcher's ass or the batter's ass. I'm not even sure. I think it's the catcher. I think it was the
Okay.
catcher because he catched the ball and then he noticed like stains on the ball and he was like, "Oh, this is cheating." So I think it's the catcher. And I think he told him like, "Now you touch his ass and put it into his back pocket."
We better
Uh,
stop this before we freaking get demonetized or something. Like, isn't there like some system on YouTube where it's like you can only say a certain amount of like swear words, quote unquote, in a
I
certain
will
time
stop.
frame?
I will stop. Put it into his back pocket, and that's when the whole gamble started. And he was like, well, if you're gonna check me, check the catcher and the others as well. And then the catcher realized I have this sandpaper in my back pocket. Um,
Okay.
uh,
I mean,
and then he
I
realized,
feel like we're paying too much attention to this anyway. Like it yeah. In any case, like Tokuchi knew. He knew the entire situation. He knew where all the sandpaper pieces were, and like he still decided, I'm going to risk a body check in order to make this guy kneel to me. So
but I think he wasn't risking it because I think he picked it out of his back pocket. Um,
okay,
I might be wrong. As I said, I was a little bit like distracted because we were laughing so much at that moment.
yeah,
Uh, so it might be two pieces, and it might be possible that he also still had one, but then was like gambling with him. Like, do you want to check like my uh, back pocket, or are you gonna check like my back pocket?
okay.
Uh,
Um, yeah, it. I feel like it was just kind of like a badass kind of moment. And just the fact that he was able to figure it out in time, like saved his back. So that's how it is. But anyway, I guess we should talk about like I guess we already talked about it, but like when they were trying to bean him with bean balls, and then like Tokuchi,
oh yeah, that was funny.
yeah,
Um, because because sorry, Risen is making me laugh a little.
badass.
Um, I think it's funny because uh, he is like a heavy chain smoker almost. Like
Yeah,
you see him smoking so
pretty
much, and
much
you
every waking
never,
moment of every day. Yeah,
yeah, and you never see him like exercising,
true. And he's
and
pretty thin.
that's why it's
Doesn't have very much
yeah,
muscular structure.
yeah, and that's why it's surprising to me when he actually makes like these like quick moves that he escapes. Like I think obviously he was aware that they're trying to um
Injure
injure
him.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that he wouldn't be able to play for the next game, so that villain guy would be able to make money out of him. But I was still surprised that he's like still a little bit nimble, a little bit able to like make these like moves. But it's possible, I guess. And that he
Um.
was able to run a few. He was also running a few bases in the anime, and I was
Yeah.
surprised. Like, wow, this guy can actually run because at the beginning he was trying to run and he just collapsed.
Well,
So
wasn't he very tired like early on? Like he was just pitching consecutively for games and games and games in a row, and like that just kind of tuckered him out, and that was why he was like collapsing, if I remember right.
yeah, okay, but the game against Blue Mars, the last team in the anime, he was probably also tired. So I was a little bit surprised that he could even at a slow speed like run the bases.
Yeah.
Uh, because yeah, that's a great moment in the anime because uh, even though we were like laughing all the time, I did have like these like oh moments, and one of them was like, oh yeah, the pitcher can't throw, or even the catcher can't throw this rigged ball
Right.
because everybody will notice.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh
That's kind of stuff that like I really love about it is that like it makes sense, right? And it's very clear that like it was well thought out and calculated. Um.
I
But
mean,
yeah.
that's the mind game aspect of it. That's I mean, I like that part. I'm just saying it's a little bit inconsistent with his like athletic abilities of running and stuff, and
I mean, you could
his own.
also make the excuse that we made about like his and Kojima's relationship that maybe it just happens off screen. Like maybe he just goes, and runs on the treadmill like in between games or something,
With a
or
cigarette in his mouth.
yeah, with
Yeah.
of course, yeah, and indoors no less, because he doesn't care. Um, so yeah, yeah, maybe he goes swimming, smoking a cigarette underwater or something, something like that. Who knows? He's an enigma. We don't know what he does with his free time. It could be anything.
Yeah, he saw through everything, and he was like, "Okay, Blue Mars is cheating." They even broke the leg of Johnson, like the famous runner.
Yeah.
Like he's like, "Okay, they're cheaters. They're probably gonna try to plant sandpaper into my but into my
And,
back
yeah,
pocket." Yeah,
it's
they were
wherever
trying.
it's your such and such.
Yeah, they're probably gonna try to do that, and they're probably gonna use like rigged balls, and I gotta like train for at least 5 days, 7 days,
Oh, like
just
an
to
anime
be able.
protagonist, like a shonen protagonist typically would.
Yeah, off screen. Like I just
Yeah.
gotta like run for 7 days just to be able to run from base to base instead of just standing there and just throwing a ball.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't put it past him. I feel like he's like if he wants to win, if he's determined to win and willing to win a gamble no matter what it takes, he'll put himself through physical stress. I just would like to see the behind the scenes where we see him like gasping for breath, like freaking like trying to smoke a cigarette, but he can't even because he's so out of breath. He's just like frantically panting busy because he just got off the treadmill or something, and Kojima walks in and he's like, "Get out," or something like that. He wouldn't say like "not now" or something. He would just be very rude about it and just be like, "Go away." I don't know. That would be funny to see.
Yeah,
Um,
it would be funny, but it would break his like charisma and cool appearance about everything. That
yeah,
he can just change, like he can just turn it around in the moment. He just knows that he's just turning it around
yeah,
in the
and I mean,
situation.
like, we don't need to see it because like the whole point is that like he's just. I don't know, like pretty much he's Batman or something like that, or if not Superman. Uh, I don't even know if it's that level, but he's just really smart and like whatever he needs to do in order to accomplish his goals, he is physically capable of doing, and that's all there is to it in the end, I guess. It's just
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the entertainment factor at the end, as we already talked.
yeah,
It's not trying to be very realistic. It's not trying to put some message out there. Um, it's just entertaining, and that's why I'm glad that we have a episode like this because I think we discussed a lot of stuff. If you haven't seen our previous podcast episodes, it's totally different from this. We're just having fun right now. Uh, we go deep into like philosophy and the material, but this is just like like I wouldn't even say that we're like making fun of
yeah,
it,
we're just
as you said.
having fun talking about it, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
and did I mention the team names? Because
you did, yeah. They're kind of ridiculous. I mean, you didn't mention it in detail, but you know, bugaboos, Lee Cowans. What even is a Lee Cowan?
yeah, I think that was like a sign from the author, like just have fun with this. Like none of these names make sense. Just have fun watching this. Don't
Yeah.
think too much about it.
Oh, what? Okay, Lycaon was a king of Arcadia in Greek myth who was turned into a wolf.
What?
Yeah, I just looked it
Okay,
up.
so okay, so
So their team name is
forget.
based on Greek mythology.
Okay, so forget everything we said. This is a very serious manga, a very serious anime. Um,
I just
uh,
literally looked that up. I think I've looked this up before, but I never saw this. But yeah, yeah, okay. So
ve-
their team name is
very
named
deep.
after a king of Arcadia in Greek mythology.
So it's actually very deep. It's not. There are some deeper messages. I think we're just not like intelligent enough to
Okay, okay.
like
What's
see
a bugaboo?
Bugaboo.
Bugaboo. Okay. I see a stroller. Uh, it's a brand name. Hold on. There's got to be something good here. Uh, it's a stroller. It's a stroller for children. Pretty expensive stroller too. Looks like.
Okay, back. It's a comedy. It's a
Yeah. All
comedy
right.
manga. Blue Mars is also like a little bit funny. Like
Yeah.
Blue Mars, the red planet. Like nowhere like Blue Mars. because I think if he was like very serious, he could have picked so many words. He could have gone with like eagles, the lions,
Well,
the
I mean, I have to assume also that like he's trying to avoid copyright infringement at the same time, and so he's making
how
up
is
all
it?
these ridiculous
Are
names to make sure that
oh
there's
there
no team that could ever exist that could possibly be named after
oh yeah yeah
like this
yeah
way.
yeah that yeah that makes sense because I was just asking myself, is there actually a team named Eagles?
I
There
think there
probably
is.
is.
I mean, there's got to be
Uh,
some kind of sports team somewhere.
yeah yeah
I
yeah
don't
yeah.
think I would probably know if it was baseball. Uh, Eagles, Philadelphia Eagles. They are a football team. So
Oh, okay
American football team.
okay. Do you want to talk about sports a little bit now
Okay, sure. Yeah, while
because we
we're on the
talked a little
topic.
yeah we talked a little bit about different like it's a cultural thing because I grew up in Europe and you grew up in America, but it's kind of like the same thing that you didn't appreciate soccer. I'm gonna call it soccer, even though I feel a little bit dirty saying soccer instead of football. Um, and
Yeah,
I
just to
didn't
make it clear for
appreciate,
my uncultured American brain. I gotcha.
yeah, yeah, and I also didn't appreciate like baseball and football that much. But then I showed you a video about soccer, and you showed me this anime, and we both. I hope you like appreciate soccer a little bit more after that video.
Well, I would say that like if I watched an entire soccer anime, I would probably appreciate it even more, being honest. I do understand now that there is like uh a lot more strategy that the players have to do on the soccer field than I was originally giving it credit for. I kind of just, had this perception that it was just kind of like minute to minute just kind of like what do I do next? Where do I go now? Because that's how I played soccer when I was in elementary school. I would just kind of like be like, where do I stand now? Oh, okay, the ball's coming to me. Where do I kick it? Oh, okay, but I guess professional soccer players have to uh, like think about a lot more. Like think about what way they want to approach the enemy, how they want to coordinate with their teammates to better. It's kind of a very tactical game at the same time as it is a physical game.
Yeah, because you told me before, like, isn't it like just like physical, like, isn't it just like who is like faster, better, like at stealing the ball, and who can like physically get the ball into the goal? But then I showed you the video, and you realized it's actually a lot more complicated than that
Yeah,
because. But the difference is why I even mentioned this is that for some reason in American sports you always have to have like stars and you always have to be like like somebody who is uh like you're the one who is making everything. You're the one who is like deciding the game. Like you have a star.
mm.
Like
Like a
this is the
star player
quarterback.
or a star manager.
Yeah, like this is like the quarterback. He's the star. He's the
Oh,
one who
sure.
decides it.
Yeah,
Uh, Here it's like, oh, he's the like best pitcher ever. He's like Tokchi. He can strike them all out. Like here's the star. While in more classical sports like soccer and whatever comes from Europe, it's actually a real like team game where everybody is equally valuable.
yeah. Yeah,
Like
I guess yeah, and there's a more sense of a community among the players. I mean, I wouldn't say that's absent from American sports at the same time. I wouldn't say like it's as if like everybody's out for themselves in American sports. I would just say that they kind of like look up to the quarterback or they kind of look up to their star pitcher, their ace as it's called. And that uh and I would say that yeah, I guess so. You're saying like in soccer slash football, that like typically there's not really like one player that stands head and shoulders above the rest, and it's typically just like all the players, and like maybe like if somebody like scores a hat trick or something. or more like in a game, then they get like a bunch of praise. But then after that, it kind of goes, they're remembered for that, but it's not as if they're like held up above the rest of the team after that.
Yeah, it's something like they're obviously like star players who make like very crazy, cool looking goals, but it's also at the same time they wouldn't have been able to do anything like that if it wasn't for their team and the whole team play. Like every single pass, every time they pass and they position themselves, they have to think in a like, okay, he's gonna stand there. I'm gonna prepare for that. I'm gonna run on this side. It's more like a team effort. So even if
Yeah.
it's like a very cool looking goal, and those moments definitely happen, it's still like the ball had to get to him from somebody. He couldn't have done anything without the team. Uh, while, as I said, in one outs, it's obvious that well, it's not actually obvious. Well, he is depending on his team. So I might be just talking like bullshit right now.
Um.
Uh,
I mean,
I mean,
he's definitely controlling his team and his entire team. I would say that his team doesn't respect him until they understand that like he knows what he's doing and he's always right. Which doesn't always happen, but uh,
I mean, why this thought even came to me was because he won, I think, like 3 games at the beginning just by himself, just like striking out everybody.
yeah.
So he was like the one who decided the whole game, just him. Uh, but then again, he does inspire like Kojima. He's like inspiring the team, even though yeah, I guess I'm wrong about this thing about baseball and
And
American
I
football.
guess you could also say that like you have only this anime to go off of, and perhaps uh your like dabblings in it in like just media and in pop culture and stuff. I would say that as someone who like I've played a little bit of baseball, like when I was like in elementary school or something like that, and I don't know if it's the same in MLB, but I have to like I think all the players just kind of respect each other, and they might be like, "Wow, that he's got a good batting average. I got to do better to." It might be a bit more competitive among the teammates than in soccer. Like I don't think in soccer like everybody is like out to like prove themselves as much as in baseball. I would say in baseball and in American football. Uh, well, no, not as much as in American football. I would say in baseball specifically, like it's more of every player on the team is kind of looking to bolster their own batting average, and uh, you know, because another thing also is that their trades happen so much in the MLB. There's trades that happen like all the time, so you don't know if you're even going to be playing with these same teammates in a year or 2 years time. So it's all about like trying to uh, increase your own statistics and like make yourself appear better, so that somebody can like maybe buy you and put you on their team. Uh, at least on the
Yeah,
professional level.
it was even addressed in one outs when they were like comparing, like they were mentioning like he has a 1.7 ERB. What, I don't even know what it
ERA
means or something.
probably.
The ERA, yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
And
earned run
yeah,
average.
yeah. So I guess there's also a little bit of ego going on. Like um, in soccer, it's a little bit different because like the goalkeeper know that he's the goalkeeper. He's trying to catch uh, the ball,
Yeah,
trying to prevent the ball. Then you know that you're at like defense position. There aren't statistics like that. Some people count the amount of goals they make, but
right.
in the
Yeah,
end, like every athlete is like, I know what my job is, and I try to do my job. Some manager or some team will see me, and if they like how I do it, they will just employ me. While here, they're keeping statistics, I guess, for every single player about everything they do.
Right. I remember going to like the baseball stadiums and like having a pamphlet, like an entire like I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 page booklet, and you open it up and all it is just like boxes and boxes and spreadsheets for you to just record every single statistic of every single player throughout the game. So some people like who watch baseball like that's what they do is they just record all the statistics from each player, and that's kind of like something that the players themselves also take pride in. And I would say like uh, as much as baseball is a kind of I don't know, as much as it's a physical and mental sport, I would say it's also a statistician sport as well. Like someone who like really enjoys like watching uh like baseball to figure out like what the trajectory of a certain player is going to be in the future. I don't know. It's probably not even that interesting to talk about, but like there's a thing called sabermetrics, which all that is just a like a professor sits down and teaches you how to decipher baseball statistics and like how to like if you ever become a
Oh,
baseball manager someday, here's how you can turn your player statistics and figure out how your player is going to like how you can better coach your players who improve his statistics or how like when you should steal, when you
yeah.
should not steal. Like there's entire
I just
courses in college just on sabermetrics, which is kind of
oh,
crazy.
I just realized the reason that people are keeping these numbers and keeping track of them is probably that we forgot one important part is that a lot of people, a lot of people are betting on sports. They're
Mm.
betting on the games.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So they're like, this is not the usual gambling we talk about. Usually we talk about when you play yourself, but there's also another part of gambling when you think that you know which team is going to win. So you're gambling on that. And I guess in that scenario, the numbers become important. Like, oh,
Yeah,
this
you're
guy
right.
is this.
Yeah, and that might also be like why people take sabermetrics. Like now that I think about it, I've never bet on sports except esports, but um, yeah, I have to imagine, that is an aspect of it as well, and that's why people care so much about it.
Yeah, because it's one part of humanity and reality which I'm also not really experienced about because can imagine myself going to a mahjong gambling parlor. I can because it's in my hands.
Yeah, you're in control.
But yeah, but betting on a team, like betting or even on an athlete, like you're just like basically saying like I believe this guy will do it. But I don't know. It's a different kind of gambling, definitely.
Yeah, it
But it
and there's also kind of like quote unquote like flow reading, or I think what they call it in the States is like momentum reading. Like this team has been playing really well, they're really hot, so they're bound to win this, or they've been too hot recently. They're like due for like a downturn. Um and stuff like
yeah,
that. Some people
yeah. I
enjoy
guess
that,
that's like
which is
yeah. I
similar to
guess
like
it's
flow, this same concept.
yeah. I guess it's like two different types of gambling. I think even like gambling on sports is very similar to gambling like on horses or on dogs, um, where you are actually gambling on the fact that you know who's gonna win instead of you yourself winning. Uh,
Yeah.
if it makes any sense, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
Like
know. It doesn't really it's never really appealed to me either. I think what's most fun about it is like having stakes as you're watching the game to make the game more exciting.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's another part.
That's
There's
the biggest
definitely
thing, I think, for most people.
yeah. It's like if I bet like $20 on this team, I'm gonna be more like invested in the game. It's gonna make me more excited if they score.
Yeah, that's exactly
Uh,
why I bet like on Dota, because like I wanted to be really uh hyped up for like the finals, like Dota 2.
Yeah,
Eh.
but there are actually also people who are trying to make a living out of it. At
Oh
least
yeah.
here, I don't know. I don't know in America.
Oh
There are
sure,
some
same here.
people.
Like yeah, I mean there's a big section of casinos in Las Vegas uh just devoted to like sports betting, and that's where all the like people trying to make a living off of it, trying to get the insider information. There's like bookies who like claim to have like information on like the best teams to bet on and like you know uh,
Well,
yeah,
then it's. I wonder if there's a manga about that kind of gambling.
about that kind of
Like,
gambling. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I
where
don't know.
where like where like you're trying to get the inside scoop. Like, is the game fixed? Like, what's going on? And but I don't think it's a thing in Japan. I don't think they do that much. I might be totally wrong.
I know that they
Eh,
well. You could probably relate it to like horse racing betting and like betting on which horse you think.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure there are manga based on like horse racing betting and stuff like that. They've got to be like really really niche. Like one I know is uh well there's one by Shinobu Kaitani, the guy who wrote Liar Game and One Outs. It's called
Okay.
Winner Circle A Yokoso. Welcome to the Winner's
Okay.
Circle. And that's all about horse racing and betting on horse racing. I haven't read it, but I assume there has to be some like gambling in it because most of his themes do involve gambling in some sense. Uh,
Yeah,
and I
I
don't even
guess
know if it's been translated. I do remember that people wanted me to translate it a long time ago, and I was just not interested, and I didn't have the time. But um,
yeah, I'm making just some assumptions. I think it's probably going to be uh like fixed games and like what's the health of the horse, like how fast is he really, like, or manipulating the horse, like putting something under his hoof to make him slower.
that would be crazy if there was like a one outs type of like mental warfare going on with horse racing. I don't know if that would even be possible. Yeah, like I don't know, rigging the jockeys to not or like convincing the jockeys not to win to run slower. I don't know what you could even do. Like that's why probably people were interested in it back in the day. I don't know if it ever got translated. I can look it up real quick. Uh,
Yeah, sure.
I do know that there's also one by Fukumoto called Buraina Kazetetsu. You probably
Even
heard.
by Fukumoto.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I
I
didn't know about
I
that.
have read that one, and I can tell you there's none of that like uh there's no like mind games or manipulate. It's more of a drama piece, really, about like a horse jockey. I posted.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not
I
gonna say anything
think
anymore about it, but it's
I
only
think
11 chapters anyway. It's not like a major work or anything.
I think I remember knowing about it from like way before, but as you said, I do not have any interest in horse racing, so I never
Yeah,
was interested to like look it up or find the raws and like read it
yeah,
because for me it's just something unrelatable, like horse racing, dog racing. Betting on somebody else. I much more prefer like where when you're gambling, it's about your own skill and
yeah,
psychology.
exactly. Yeah, I feel the same way, which is why I've never bothered to even look into it. Um, and why I've never, I did read Budaina Kazetetsu back in the day, and I recall that I just was not interested in it at all. Uh, yeah, it is like it's just much more engaging when there's a gamble based on like a individual player's intellect and skill. Um, that's just how it is. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, also I just looked up Winter Circle A Yokoso. It has not been translated, not a single chapter.
Uh,
But if anybody, I
no,
don't know, hey, maybe Lions Ridge, when they've gone
no.
through every other series under the sun, it's gambling related
Okay, in 60 years maybe,
in 60. Okay,
if I'm still alive.
when pigs fly. Uh, Okay, so I don't know. You have anything else to talk about? We filled up an entire 2 hours. Um,
Yeah, I think to recap a little bit, so we didn't give you any real like baseball insight, or we didn't even talk about different pitches. We did mention that the ball can fly differently, which I didn't know. But we aren't baseball experts.
Definitely not.
So definitely not. And it was just more like to have a light-hearted episode, to be honest. As I mentioned like 3 4 times, homunculus is fucking depressing, and we needed this kind of episode. Sonic is gonna be away for 3 weeks. I'm also trying to do my own stuff in the 3 weeks, but we'll definitely be back. We
Yeah,
like having this podcast. Uh, Even when we have like low views, we don't care. Like we just love
right.
having the podcast.
Thanks to Risson
Um,
for tuning in for the whole podcast. I don't know if he left, but he was here for most of this podcast too. So I feel like I should
you
do
know when
something
he left?
special for him.
You know when he left? He left when we started talking about sports,
Oh, is
which
that
isn't
when?
surprising. Yeah,
Okay.
which isn't
Um,
surprising to be honest. Which is okay.
yeah,
We gotta assume that Fukumoto fans and manga fans aren't very interested in sports, which is just an assumption. Uh,
yeah. It's a. I don't know. I'm sure there's some who are, but
yeah, but it's a weird time, I guess. In America, it's what like
it's 4 p.m.
5,
on a
4
Saturday.
p.m. Okay, on a Saturday, huh? It's
Um,
not a weird time. I guess it's just that I don't know.
it
One
was
ounce isn't that.
it was at a weird time for us. We didn't. Uh, it's not at our normal time at all, and it's whatever at this point. It's like um, we're just kind of like doing this because we like doing it, and if it like makes anybody, if it gives somebody something to listen to, that's great too. Um, I really want to do something for Risen though. I'm thinking like I don't know, maybe mod, or I could gift a sub or something. But
Give them a sub, I guess.
yeah,
But yeah, thank you for to listen to listening to us almost through the whole podcast. We would love to have more viewer engagement in the future. So I think one problem is that it's very sporadic. Like sometimes we do it. It was connected with your work. It's somehow like sometimes it's on Sunday, sometimes it's like a little bit sooner. So you guys don't really have like a real schedule to be like, oh yeah, it's this time of the week, so I can't wait for banga maps, manga bums. Um, but we're gonna try to fix that when Sonic comes back.
yeah.
And I don't know if you're gonna go to your old job back or if you're gonna find a new job,
I
but
don't know either. I'm if I go back to my old job, it's gonna be I'm gonna have to like I don't know. I'm gonna have to wait for things to change because like I can't put up with them the way they are. Um, I was gonna say
I
something
also
else.
I'm just also gonna say if anybody from Lions Rich, the my scanlation group, we do Kirinji and Koizumi right now. If you're wondering why I'm not putting up any new chapters, um, it's because of a little bit different reasons, but don't worry, they're coming out soon, probably in these 3 weeks. I have a issue with my graphic cards. It's like if you played mahjong with me lately, you will know that it just dies a lot. And when I'm having the podcast, I'm just having like a static black screen,
Really, it's
just to
that
not.
bad?
Yeah, it's getting overheated, I guess. So I even put like a fan next to it, just try like
Wow.
cool it down with the fan. Um, so I'm looking at a black screen right now, just not to provoke my graphic cards to die, but it's dying a lot lately, and I will try to fix this. Try to get a cheap one, and I will also be back, just as Sonic. Don't worry. Maybe not 3 weeks, maybe like a few days, but uh, I'm. Yeah, it's just a crazy time for both of us. Sorry, but we're gonna keep doing the podcast. So
Yeah. Oh, and when we come back, we'll be doing uh Kabukicho Seihatsu from Kyurenji. We're gonna be continuing that because uh, it feels kind of like unfinished business for sure.
yeah, and we're gonna try to make it just 2 episodes because I was rereading a little bit of it, and I was like, "Holy shit! There's so many games, so many characters." I hope we can finish it in 2 episodes.
Yeah, we'll just see. That's for another day.
Yeah, but you're gonna get your Kirinji back, so
Yeah, for sure, and that's something to be happy about.
and
Um,
we'll try to also do some other Fukumoto stuff. We just because we went over the main ones like Kurosawa, Kaiji, Akagi, 10.
oh,
Well,
are you
you
saying on
know
the
what?
podcast?
Yeah,
Um,
but we didn't go through the original 10. We could also do 10
I mean, we kind of
after.
talked about it. We've talked about this in the past. It's kind of we discussed the ending, and if we went through the middle section, I feel like it would mostly just be breaking down like the individual hands of the games. Um, so I don't think that would be too engaging. So that, as far as Fukumoto series go, I don't know what else we
Well,
could really do.
is there any series you worked on but we didn't talk about?
Robot Keiji.
That's
um,
what that's what we're gonna do.
we're gonna do Robot Keiji. It's 2 volumes.
Yeah, that's like 3 hours of content.
I guess for us. Maybe I don't know. I do. Well, we can talk about this off stream. We don't need to keep the podcast going. But
I Yeah, yeah, definitely. We are out of steam, I guess. Hope you had fun.
yeah, thanks to
Sonic is
anybody
gonna
who
come.
listened to the whole thing. We'll
Yeah.
give you something special. I'm gonna look into giving Rison something special because
Yeah,
he's
thank you, Risen.
been a
Yeah,
loyal
thank
viewer.
you. Thank you, Risen, for listening to us. And we will at least I can say that we will get a proper schedule, like one part of the week, like 1 hour where it's gonna be consistent, and you can just like tune in whenever you want. Not whenever you want, I mean at the time, because I even said this like before the podcast, like, look, people are like already busy playing games, all like no one is prepared for our podcast. So I guess that's the reason why we have such low views. Maybe it's us just being boring, I don't know. But it doesn't matter because we love doing this. We're gonna keep doing it. You get Kirinji, and we'll figure out what else. As we already said, and I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, Sonic. Just wrap it up. Thank you, everybody. See you in 3 weeks.
All right, yeah. Uh, and we'll be a lot better once we come back. So, looking forward to seeing everybody then. Uh, any or anybody. uh, anyway, I'll catch you guys later. We'll catch you guys later. Thanks for listening. See you.
Thank you.